welcome back to another wonderful episode of the Teachers Lounge. To all my teachers that's tuned out there, let me get a spring break. Spring break. We're glad to be in your living rooms once again. First and foremost, I want to thank our sponsors, Minister Malik, for making this possible. I'd like to thank our other sponsors, Available Geeks, our sponsor, Mr. David, who makes sure that all our bills are paid and we can come here and do what we do for you guys. Join us and be part of our conversation this evening. 313-868-0342. Once again, 313-868-0351 or 313-868-4336. Opening day. Brother Weird, how you feeling today, sir? Yep. I heard that opening day was canceled. I was this close from not going to work today. I must admit, if I didn't have to be 21st century superintendent and standing over everybody making sure those kids acted right, I would have been right downtown with everybody else having a ball. It got canceled, but see, we're not inside anyway. We bar hop or club hopper. We eat the good food and party with the good folks and go Tigers. It's a rebuilding year.
Go Tigers.
Yes. Even though I'm a teacher, I'm a regular person too, okay? I'm just not a nerd that sits in front of the computer all day and looks at research.
Some people think we live at school. I've gotten yelled at before for not being at school at 6 p.m. because the parent wanted to talk to me. I was like, I'm human too. I don't live there.
The nerve of it all.
Sometimes.
The nerve of it all.
How you doing today, Miss Leslie?
I feel good. I'm so happy. I want everyone to know on me. I called Lee last night. I demanded that we all have tomorrow off. So guess what? All teachers don't go to work tomorrow. Thanks to me. Yes. I'm feeling good.
You hooked it up.
Yes.
We all roll on the third day.
Yes. We just feeling good.
Yes, we are feeling good. And we are in this jovial mood. Like I said once again, parents, we are up for spring break. No school tomorrow, thanks to Good Friday. And no school all next week.
Woo!
So if you see Mr. Gardner at the liquor store and you're with your child, just walk on. Don't say nothing. Just walk on by. But there's some real good things that were going on this past week dealing with young children. Children gathered today in the numbers that looked like they were in the high millions for a protest against gun violence in the classrooms. Children across the nation gathered together to protest against NRA laws and trying to open up the dialect of the conversation and let politicians know that our children are coming of age to vote and election time is coming up, and those who are in support of high gun laws, in support of the Second Amendment, yeah, that's a good way to put it, gun heavy, gun toting Republicans, you know the type of person I'm trying to describe, you're going to get voted out or voted in depending on which way the pendulum swings, depending on which side of the aisle you stand on. Now, which brings up this wonderful topic about gun violence, because me personally, I believe teachers should be allowed back. I'm going to start. My co-hosts are looking at me crazy, and I know you guys out there in TV land are saying what's going on, but honestly and truly, I do believe that teachers should be allowed to carry in a classroom. And we should be trained, and if a teacher is willing to go the extra mile to help protect the student, then they should be paid and accommodated as well. Now, let me tell you why. I have children that go to DPS, and I know that, I'm not going to get into our second topic. I'm going to stay on task with this first topic. But let's say I was a teacher in a school where my kids went to school down in Sandy Hook, or what was this last one in Florida? Parkland, Florida. Had I been there working, and I'm a CCW carrier now, and my sons were in that school, and I didn't know where they were, I would have ran out to my car, and ran back in. I would have saved their lives, possibly saved others. Or I would have put my life on the line to save their lives and save others. Now, I know some people say,
and you think that gun would have protected you from an AR-15?
I don't think necessarily that what I had in my car would have protected me from an AR-15.
And you would have gotten to your car in time to get it. Also a question.
And you wouldn't have froze.
No,
just because
I wouldn't have froze. I wouldn't have froze, and I wouldn't have been scared of that AR-15. Because let me tell you something, ladies and gentlemen. I want you guys to call in if you agree or disagree. But if you love those children that are in that building, you would have put your life on the line for those children that were in that building. Now I went back and I had to pull my kids into it just to make my point clear, because I know a lot of my co-hosts on the panel don't necessarily agree with me on this. But when you care about kids and you love your children, you do anything for them, whether they're students or your biological children. You would put your life on the line for them. We do it every day in a sense. How many of you have ever been cussed out by an irate parent? Who's ever been cussed out by an irate parent?
I have. Me.
Who's ever been involved or tried to break up a fight that was so hellacious that, you know, there needed to be some type of police force or some type of fear that the children could see and say, okay, I mean, this guy has the authority. This guy is certified. He's packing.
So you pulled a gun on two kids fighting. So just to clarify, we just went from you would pull out a small pistol against an AR-15, which you ran from your classroom to the car back into the building to get, and now you bring up a fight also with the gun.
Now I wouldn't break up the fight.
Kids.
No.
And you would pull a gun on a parent who were angry at you in the school building.
No.
You think that all those three would be effective? I just want to make sure.
Oh, please let me explain. Oh, I can't wait to explain this. Now listen. Okay. There's never been a time where pulling out a gun is necessary unless it was in a case of a gang style fight. I'm not going to sugarcoat this. I've been a DPS teacher for 12 years, and I've seen some pretty rough stuff. And the security guards are either lackadaisical, don't care, want to watch the fight themselves. But I feel as though a teacher that came through with the authority, imagine me, okay? I got my suspenders on and my holster right here, my gun here, and they know Big Bad Mr. Gardner is coming. And they know I'm packing. I don't care if it's 5 boys jumping on one. If the reputation of that teacher precedes itself, they're going to know to get out the way and they're going to know I'm coming. Now, I don't know who may be involved, but a gun is necessary, especially with what we're dealing with.
But if you say Big Bad Mr. Gardner, then the respect of who you are should have the kids settle down, not the fact that you're carrying a gun.
Oh, no, they're not going to just settle down for me because...
Oh, just because you're good?
No. They're going to settle down when they know that I'm either going to slap them with the handcuffs or depends on what's going on.
Pull your piece out. But then it becomes a game. You know, you're always pulling your piece out. Then you're going to have the kid shoot me. Think I care? Then what do you do? Think about it. Kids on a suicide mission.
As somebody that used to be a police officer, and I demonstrated in front of my students, I took the smallest person in my class, and when you're talking about an AR-15, an assault rifle, the smallest person in my class, and we only go up to 4th grade, they could hide their eyes like this, stand in the doorway, and spray the whole room. If you have a handgun, you have to get in a defensive position. You have to aim at the target. And then you have to be pretty accurate with your shooting. And the scenario that you said, it might possibly work. I mean, it could work. You know, schools have 6 or 7 exits. But it's highly unlikely, though, and there would be a lot of people killed. It would be highly unlikely that, not highly unlikely, and you might get off, you might get them. I'm not going to take it.
It didn't work at a military base. How's it going to work with a teacher who's not trained?
Military
officer.
We get them.
If the person is going down the hall, you probably could get them. My whole thing is, and I'm with the kids on this, the kids that were marching, we need to be stronger against assault weapons, period. People in homes don't need assault weapons. Assault weapons need to stay in the military. And I think that's what we should focus our attention. There are countries. I mean, when you think about the weapons in the United States, somebody said something about, about 3% or something like that. 3%, 13% people. Not everybody has a handgun. It's just that when you talk about the NRA, they make a lot of money. They are in bed with the gun manufacturer, and I just don't think teachers having guns, because in some areas, the teacher got a gun, so I'm going to come up there with mine.
Yeah.
You're in a high school situation, and when I was on the police department, I've seen officers be disarmed by, you got a group of people, somebody comes up behind you, it would not take much. I mean, I know a little bit of martial arts, and if I told my kids, if I'm far away, then you got me. But if I'm an arm's length of you, I'm taking that gun. And I think if anything, and I hate that, if anything, we may, could benefit from some self-defense classes. But I don't know, a gun in the school, just anything.
There was an incident in DPSCB where they didn't have enough police online ready to send them to our school, and there was two families that came up to the school warring with each other. You know how it goes. The McCoys versus the Hatfields and the McCoys. And this was all playing out in front of an elementary school. The security guards weren't armed. The teachers weren't armed. And I know I'm at my school until 7 p.m. And it would just make me feel so good, because I know I would go out there with my piece on, and I would let them know, like, take that down the street. But if I'm saying take that down the street with a ruler in my hand, like I walk down the hallway with my little ruler, slap my little kids on the leg, make them act like they got some sense. But if I could go out there and I'm strapped and I'm legal, and they know I got a right to bust down if needed to, they'll know this man's serious about his school. He's not playing any games. You can't mess around when you come up to this particular school, because there's teachers in there that's packing and they're crazy. And that's going to send a message to the folk that need to get the message sent to, that you send your kids to school to do one thing, and that's to learn. It's not to mess around here.
And you're right. Everything you're saying, you have a point. But see, my thing is, I deal with a lot of some students and some parents. That teacher not going to punk me. So you got a gun, they got a gun. Now what? What do you do? It's going to be a standoff.
Are you saying if the student?
No, or the parent. With the Hatfield McCoy situation you just talked about.
They have a gun?
Yes. Everyone got guns. I think the only one that doesn't have a gun in Detroit is me.
Well, that's what you have to be prepared to do. That's why.
But I don't want to be prepared to go to work and shoot to kill.
I hate to even agree with this ignorant parent. I hate to even agree with this ignorant president. Excuse me. But that's why we get paid the extra bucks. If you come up to my school and I'm about business and I love my kids and I'm not messing around, and you coming up here with some garbage and you know what we're about, we'll bust you down, and you come up here and try, we're gonna bust you down. That's what I'm getting the bonus for. I'm getting the bonus.
We'll take this call, and I got something to say.
Good afternoon, caller. Thanks for coming.
You want to shoot somebody so bad?
Sorry. Long day.
Sorry. Yes, caller.
Love the subject tonight.
Thank you.
Couple of things. Once a teacher gets a gun, why don't we just put bars on the windows, just start calling it a penitentiary? Number one. Number two is having a gun, a concealed weapon,
form of intimidation, and it should be there to intimidate these parents
But nobody.
and anybody else that's listening.
Go ahead, Colin.
If the teachers are given guns, that means that the state, local government has lost control of their city, and it's time to start homeschooling children. Because our children are not safe around anybody else. That's just my.
Thank you so much, Colin.
That's you're making a good point, and I understand what Brother Donovan is saying here. There are some things that are inevitable, and they're going to happen. I don't think with teachers having weapons, I personally don't think it would lessen the incidence of school shooting.
I think it would increase them because you look at no other country in the world has the amount of school shootings that we do. And they don't have armed teachers to stop it. Like, that's not the missing factor. When you start increasing guns, you're going to increase gun violence. When there's a bomb threat, we don't say, oh, there's a bomb threat, we need bombs too. Like, that's not going to...
Actually, that's the American way. That's the American way. When we create this environment
where teachers are armed and now it's a police state in the school, like, to me, that's only going to increase gun violence.
When the outsiders are armed.
But see, everyone's forgetting, and I have to go this in this scenario. Women with periods, they're upset. They got a gun. Men, they had a fight with their wives or their lovers. They want to come to work and they got a gun. You got somebody upset at something else and they come to work and they got a gun. And they're just waiting for some kid to sneeze the wrong way so they can have an excuse to pull it out. And that's what's going to happen. Because some of these
there's already been misfires.
There's already been misfires. There already has been misfires, Brother Don.
Well, that can happen anyway.
But in the
school, can have a situation where they had a bad day, and they came to school and they're angry. Though they're no different than the perpetrators that we're trying to stop.
But they don't have a gun, and you do. That's the thing. It's one thing to have a bad day and not have a gun. It's another thing to have a bad day and you have a gun and you're looking for a reason. You kind of ankle front on you, brother. You kind of coming across as you looking for a reason to pull that piece out and go bang bang.
If that teacher down the hallway decides to misuse or misappropriate his ability to carry a gun in the classroom, then there should be other teachers there with a sane mind and a sane body that will stop him, just as they would stop the person with the AR-15. Now I'm glad that you guys have mentioned the teachers with the misfires or the teachers that can have the bad days. There will be teachers that misfire their gun. There will be teachers that have bad days because their wives cheated on them, they just lost all their money in the casino. Whatever the case may be, a kid's been getting on their nerves all day.
Someone with a suicide mission.
A suicide mission.
And could be a teacher.
But guess what? We can't depend on the security guards because the security guards aren't packing. We can't depend on DPSED because it takes them too long to get there. The only thing we can depend on is those teachers that love the community and that's willing to put their life on the line for their students to be packing in that classroom. And when it's time to jump into action, they can jump into action.
So you say a teacher's more prepared to defend than a security guard whose sole job and training is security?
Absolutely.
Oh, wow.
They have no tools. If they do have handcuffs, they don't use them. They wait till DPSCD gets there, and we're all teachers. You guys teach
DPSPD?
You guys teach it.
Just to be clear, the police officers, not
DPSCD. Okay, it's been a long day. It's been a long day. Spring break's coming up. We're not going to get into my acronyms right now. That's why you're here right now. But anyway.
You said you wanted to go. I'm going.
The point I'm trying to make is this. The security guards are not armed. The security guards do not handcuff children. They don't do anything in a major situation until DPSCD gets there. Case in point. Now, I was on administrative leave with pay last year for breaking up a fight. I was on administrative leave with pay last year for breaking up a fight. This was a melee. It was unbelievable. I yelled at my administration. I yelled at the principal. I yelled at the principal at that time. I yelled at the security guards. This girl tore up the classroom. She was up and down the hallway. She was trying to fight a student with special needs, and she had her whole little gang in a melee with them. And I had to restrain the little girl. But at the end of the day, they wanted to try to say, "Oh, I used excessive force."
Mm-hmm.
Well, you certainly would if your shoes up.
You want a gun, brother?
No, but the intimidation. Now, let's say I did have that gun. That intimidation factor probably would have been there enough to where either that wouldn't have gone down, or should things have gotten worse, like Hatfields and McCoy, I would have been there even more to protect that special needs student that needed to be protected.
What about a taser? Instead of a gun, why not carry a taser?
I like that
Tase
idea.
that little
I like
girl.
the idea of a taser.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, they had the pepper sprayer. She was so out of control.
Wow, get out of here.
The police, after I restrained her, that's why it was so ludicrous that I was on administrative leave with pay. Because when the police showed up, the girl spit in the police face, cussed the police out, and the police had the pepper sprayer and everything. I heard them on their walkies like, "Yeah, we had to give her that Dr. Pepper. She was out of control." I guess that's their. Is that what they're called? They said we had to give her a little bit of Dr. Pepper. They was on their walkie-talkies. It was just out of control, and that was a minute incident. That was a small incident. I teach at an elementary school. What was to say if this was the 8th graders? And he had got his big brother up there after school because he wasn't happy with the outcome of his fight.
You know, I saw something. I read something, and I'm looking at MSNBC. What was that? Australia. Some years ago. I did go to Oakland, so my memory's a little foggy. But anyway, I don't know how many years ago it was, but someone came into a school with an assault weapon, shot it up. Australia banned assault weapons, and I want to say this was about 25 years ago. The whole country, they banned assault weapons. There has not been a school shooting yet.
We're the only country in the world that has a school shooting every week, and that's normalized. That lockdown drills is a thing that we have to prepare for.
And then let's look at, and I'm going to be honest. I think about some of our parents, African American parents, to send their children to majority white schools. I was listening to something on NPR yesterday, just how young black men, we have this stigma. Our kids have this stigma. And, it's always violent. They were talking about steal. I don't care what kind of prep school your children are in. They always look at our children as the most violent. Something like that happens. Somebody comes into school. They don't know who is who. If I was a police officer and all of this melee broke out and I didn't know who was shooting, and I come into the school, I don't know Brother Donovan. He's running down the hallway with his gun in his hand. Before he could say he went that way, lost another teacher. I think trying to protect yourself against school shootings is somewhat trying to protect yourself against car accidents. These things are, they're going to happen. One of the best cures is to get rid of the assault weapon. And if somebody comes into a school and they're intent on shooting, and I even hate to say it this way, an automatic, 16? They can't keep reloading and just shooting all those people. I think there's some societal things we need to work on.
That's not going to happen. This is America. What do we spend our most money on? The war, the military. And as we know, everything starts from the top and trickles down. Our country was built and found on violence. Unfortunately, that's just the way things are. We can talk about other countries. We can talk about China, Australia, places where guns are restricted more so than here. But their government doesn't spend all their money on guns like ours does.
You can look at countries that do and they don't have it.
Even if you did put a ban on an AR-15 or an M16, how long would that take to make a big effect in the community? We not buying. If I wanted to shoot a school up, or if I wanted to do a major crime, I wouldn't go buy an AR-15 legally and sign my name on a paper. No, I'm gonna go see JoJo or Little Ro, and I'm gonna get the AR-15s the same way anybody else would get a gun. So taking the privilege of owning guns and walking around like this is the Wild Wild West, and I'm Wyatt Earp with my gun strapped on me, that would, if you take that right away from me, that's giving the cowboys the right to run the streets and run amok, and I won't be able to protect my students the way that they need to be protected, my school building the way that it needs to be protected. So there is a need for teachers to be armed and teachers to be looked at as dangerous, not so much because of the small things or a teacher had a bad day. It's to deter these other people that's acting a fool, not to come around here and mess around. That's my take.
Why are you saying that? That's the case of every country in the world doesn't have that. Yet every country in the world has figured this out. So it's not inevitable. It's not.
And they're behind in military too. The only reason why we aren't scared of anybody is because we know our people at the top has all the nuclear weapons, all the guns that aren't we the #1 army in the world? Last time I checked.
Israel. They don't have it.
They don't have more than us.
But see, I think we're forgetting we're living in a society where, I hate to say it, but white cops shoot black men, unarmed black men. Would you want to be a black male teacher that's, saving his children and protecting his children, and you just happen to go in the mire and a bunch of white cops see you and they look at you as a threat and they shoot you, and they'll get away with it because you're a black guy with a gun. Even though you did everything right, oh, I have a gun, I'm a teacher, they will shoot you and say that you lunged at them. So come on, Brother Don.
Well,
think about it.
I look at it like this. That has to be addressed anyway, because I'm not going to sit up here and act like there was this incident that happened recently on the news. There was a white kid. He had on a full body armor, and he was walking out open public, and he got arrested. And this was open carry.
Yeah.
And I believe, Brother Weir, you were speaking to how is it that he got arrested peacefully and he's open carry, fully body armor with an AR-15 or M16, I'm not sure. And they just recently killed a black man with a cell phone.
In his own backyard.
Okay.
Now we switch the subject.
No, we're not going there yet. I said that to say this. That does have to be addressed. But as a black man, if the Second Amendment and the right to bear arms is my right, then that's a right that maybe we have not fought for enough. And maybe when we did fight for it, we were strict of how we took care of our community. The Black Panthers, they were the first ones to come on the scene and teach people how we have the right to bear arms. We have the right to protect our community. And that was looked at as a threat. And we were shut down because of that. They took our leaders away from us that wanted to go the distance there. And I think it's time for black men that are in education, myself included, to take up arms, bear arms, go along. I hate to agree with Dirty Trump because I'm no Republican by any means, but he may be onto something with this. Teachers such as myself, teachers such as Weir, even though Weir does not agree with me that teachers should bear arms, Mr. Weir was an ex-police officer. He knows about law enforcement. He knows about enforcing the law and protecting his community. I want to protect my community. I may not be a police officer, but I want to protect my community. It's my right to bear arms. And if I have to face racial adversity while I'm protecting my community, well, I hate to be a martyr or somebody has stepped forward, but we all got to start doing it. How come we can't? Why can't we? Why couldn't Huey P. Newton pull off what he was trying to do, other than he was too black?
Well, they did carry
Well,
arms, and I don't think it was ever outlawed with the Panthers. What they did was they just went out and murdered them. When the Panthers were walking around with the arms, they did not pass any gun law. They went after the leaders. They did pass more gun law.
Yeah, it was.
It
starts with the M, the Embury Act. President Reagan at that time in California.
We're getting some knowledge.
along with the NRA.
Our sponsor David is speaking right
Yes.
now.
So,
We would have
outlaw. If you want a serious gun change, let them start arming a bunch of black people.
That
They did it with the
Hello, welcome to the Teachers Lounge. Jump into the conversation.
Go ahead.
Welcome to the Teachers Lounge.
You gotta turn your TV down, caller. Turn your TV down.
Background noise here. We can't hear you.
Is that better?
Oh,
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay, great. Okay, for one, really, people think that a gun is a remedy. A gun is not a shield, to block somebody from doing anything. I mean, you can't think that a gun is the remedy for stopping, a person coming and shooting up the school. And then number two, GPS. When have you ever heard of somebody shooting up GPS schools?
We haven't talked about
That's
that.
really pretty much in the suburbs.
But we can't. As soon as you say that, knock on wood. As soon as you say that, it'll happen. Hasn't happened yet, and we're gonna dive into that now. But as soon as you say, black people won't do that, black people won't do this, then we'll turn around and doggone do it. Well, let me go ahead and open up
let's see
this
if
next
you have
one.
some more. Did you have some more you wanted to add to that, caller?
He's gone.
I wanted to repeat the comment.
Yeah, our sponsor, Brother David, said, if you want to make,
if you want to change gun laws, give a whole bunch of black people some guns. So all my black male teachers out
I've heard
there,
that before.
It was called the Mulford Act.
the Mulford
Act.
Back in the 60s.
What was restricted?
Hold on, caller.
I would have to check all of that out.
Okay,
President Reagan
I'll
or
look it up.
Governor Reagan at the time outlawed that because the Black Panthers.
our sponsor is dropping some knowledge.
Yeah.
We'll get back to that. We have
We have to
money
be
on
careful because we have FCC.
Well, I would like to know
Yeah.
more because then that begs the question: then why wasn't there a big argument about their constitutional Second Amendment rights?
You
don't
probably
have no
explained
rights.
it.
That's why I would like to have.
Now.
No.
Let's take this
caller. Okay, caller. Sorry.
Hey, caller, welcome to the Teachers Lounge. Caller,
Caller,
can you
you
hear me?
there?
Hello?
Yes, I'm here. Hello?
Yes,
Yes, ma'am.
hello.
Yes, I was just
You keep fading out here.
Turn your TV down, please.
thinking, if we did some preventive for keeping the people from coming into the schools. I was in the Detroit public schools 50 years ago, and we had hall monitors. They locked the doors. They had guards. And I was at Nickel School over on the east side. I was at Eastern High School. We never had a problem. We never had a problem. You have to do some preventive measures. When the teachers take up the guns and that's after fact. Start with not letting them have access to the school. Start not letting them have access to the school. Putting the police car out there, that's good. But you need inside out. We had hall monitors. We had different things like that. I know you're not going to go along with what I'm saying, but you got to do preventive measures. You
We
have
agree
to
with
have
preventive
a
measures.
security alarm on the school while the students are in school. You ever thought about that?
No, you
Well,
right.
yeah, because those suburban schools, they're a little bit more.
We're not talking about the suburban schools. We're talking about the Detroit. And we got to have a Christian attitude. The young man, now we can't be so racist that we start hating. We got to start hating. We can't do that. You're putting that off with the children. Now, we have to have a loving attitude towards people. Amen?
Amen.
Thank you all.
Hallelujah.
And the only point I was making about the suburban schools, perhaps they are a little bit. I just think they're a little bit more relaxed, where you can walk in and out of a lot of doors. I know DPS, at least all the schools, a lot of schools that I've been in, after the teachers get in, access to the school is not that easy. And now that all of this has gone on, they put restrictions on us now, where after a certain amount of time of day, we all have to come into the same door as the front door. So that would help as well. Got a caller?
Good evening, caller. Welcome to the Teachers Lounge.
Good evening. Interesting topic. And I just want to shout out to your callers. Would y'all please turn that TV down because you're giving feedback, and maybe when you get the feedback, you need to put those callers on hold and explain to them they have to turn those TVs down because there's feedback and it's wasting airtime. We're on a serious topic here, and y'all wasting airtime with the TV on while we trying to hear serious resolutions to the problem.
Hey, I'm glad you said we have
using threat management and getting a lot of knowledge from threat management to do a lot of preventive measures because we're going to get set up to be an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. And just like many of us, we fear that our black children will be shot up by white teachers. We fear that our black teachers are going to be shot up by infiltrated Nazis and KKK cops when they walking around here bearing arms. We have to understand that the Department of Justice is filled with infiltrated with, and your police departments are infiltrated with hate crimes that caused by people with hateful minds. Thank you for taking my call.
Thank you
so much,
Thank you, caller.
Great comment.
Wow, great comment.
Yeah, I'll give you applause. That's good. That's good.
Wow.
And everything is correct, and that was my statement. That was my point. You know, you will have, racist MFers. They're going to come through, shoot up a black kid, a black boy, probably a dark-skinned black boy, because they have fear. It has nothing to do with he did anything. He could sneeze. Maybe he postured, and someone will get shot. And I just don't trust it.
And it's just, to me, I don't know, it's just the optics of the whole thing. First, before I said that, I wanted to say that most constitutional scholars say that the majority of the people misinterpret the Second Amendment in the first place. Times are a lot different than what they used to be. We're not heard of British coming and taking over, and that's what most constitutional scholars say that the Second Amendment was. Because there was a time the British, because they didn't want the colonists to break away from them, they were taking their weapons. So that's where part of the Second Amendment comes from. Now, down to the Great River and coming down the river, and because that's over with.
Well, what I don't understand, when President Trump mentioned about honest teachers, we'll give them training, we'll give them more money. Where is this money going to come from? I've been asking for a raise, which we finally got. I would rather have a raise because I teach them, or because I deserve it. Not because I'm carrying a piece and can stop a shooter, because I can prevent shooting by educating the children.
And I think that to your point of what does that create to the environment? So we go from being teachers and mentors and using restorative justice and relationships to basically police officers that also have a teaching certificate. What does that turn to the education environment and what the kids go to school to learn and to feel safe and to feel protected in a I don't know that guns don't make me feel safe. I'll come out and say it. I don't feel safe.
They make me feel safe. Guns make me feel safe. Why do you think I got PCW?
Who hurt you, Brother Gardner?
The person who pulled up in front of my house and robbed me of my sound and everything else. You know how many times I've been robbed and had to face gun violence in Detroit growing up? I have so many points.
Well, I'm from Philly, and I know all about that, but you can't let it infect you. You're infected right now.
I'm infected. Okay? Okay. I got my point I'm going to make, but I'm going to take this call.
Please, fellas, calm this brother down.
Good evening, caller. Welcome to the Teacher's Lounge.
Caller,
Good afternoon. I wanted to say that one day I was watching the news, and they said how America has 346 mass shootings. It's really unacceptable because other countries does it. And I think that the government should ban guns or something there. If a young man can shoot a gun, he should be able to go to the military.
Thank you so much, caller.
Oh my goodness, the draft. That would be an excellent one. We're going to go back to that. Good evening, caller. Welcome to the Teacher's Lounge.
Caller, you there?
Hello. It's MC Gino. Happy Thursday.
Gino, do you think
How are you? Watching you guys on Comcast 91 in Redford on my night off.
Oh, Redford. Hi, Redford.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Hey, Gina, MC.
I had a comment on this topic about guns.
Okay.
I had to. And I'm going to definitely, I got to say, my man, calm down on this gun thing.
Calm his brother. Someone heard him.
Because, you know, we do not need guns in DPS school. Because, I'm going to tell you why. What other student went in a teacher's drawer and got the gun out of the drawer, and then the next thing you know, they're going somewhere in the hoodie hood shooting up somebody? That's why I think guns should not be in the school. We need security. That's what we need. We need
Security's not packing though, Gino. Security's not packing, Gino. They don't even have takers. So what are they on the security? They have handcuffs. They're paid. They don't have any real weapons to stop any perpetrator that's coming through the door. If I would go to school, I got two of my brothers. We go in there 3 deep and get whatever we want. Nothing, no security guard can do about it. I could grab two of my brothers and go into any school I wanted.
If we had more equipped security, the schools would be safe. Because guns are not in school.
I agree.
No,
I disagree.
Thank you so much. Appreciate you. So I'm feeling we love each other.
So just real quick, and I'm looking at that. Now our kids are walking around looking at, teachers with guns on their side. Then they go to the corner store and have to talk to people with plexiglass.
Right.
Then, they look and see the police driving up and down the street, and rightfully so, they don't see them as friendly people. I have some officers from DPSCD and from the Detroit Police Department. They're doing programs in our school. And it's a hard thing to say, but it's true. I know a lot of people like to be reactionary. First, we have to do better with the type of people. We should be more circumspect who we allow to become police officers. Yes. The community needs some say-so who should be patrolling our area. And all of the police officers, the ones that I have come talking to our boys, they're African-American police officers for the most part. We should not be afraid of the police. But then when we do not have any say-so in what kind of police we hire, there was something on NPR, I wish I could remember this brother's name. He was talking about in some cities, if you qualify too much, if you are too smart, it says smart people don't follow orders. You cannot be on the police department. And if you think about the kind of people we have on the police department, that the stress of that job, it should have more psychological training. Could you imagine a job like that where you see the worst of society every day, and all you got is 16 weeks training? You can't see what you see in the police department. You can't see that and not go home and be effective. And if you're not psychologically equipped for it,
hold on, Colin. But see, I agree with what you're saying, Mr. Weir. But see, here's the thing: it seems like that training comes in handy when it's a white cop arresting a white person. But that training seems to go out the window when it comes to a white cop arresting a black person.
No, I said they don't have the proper training either.
But see, they know how to train. They know how to arrest Dylan Roof and get him broken.
That's not training. That's race. That we have been labeled. So that's not training. That is a racial problem that we have in this country, where we have allowed our children, and I hate to say it, we haven't done that well enough as educators are concerned. Because I think if we taught our children to be more respectful of themselves, if we taught our race to be more respectful of ourselves, if we had African-centered education in our schools, we would see ourselves differently, and we would make society see us differently, or get those people out of office who allow those type of things to we don't vote like we should, and unfortunately, I don't think we do a very good job, especially with African-centered education, to teach pride and respect to our children. That needs to be better.
I'm going to bring home my point, and you can bring home your point. We just got a couple minutes. Let's take this call. Caller, how you doing tonight? Thank you for joining the Teachers Lounge.
Caller, this is
Hello?
you. Yes, ma'am.
Hello?
Yes,
Hello,
ma'am. This
we
is
hear
you.
you.
Yes, I would just like to say my final point is
Go ahead, caller.
if you live in Detroit, you need to work in Detroit. The police need to go back to living in Detroit. You have a better understanding of the people.
Exactly.
Work in Detroit, live in Detroit. Don't live way up there and you don't even know anything about the community. That's my final point.
Well, let me ask you a question,
So I'm
caller.
right.
Hold on, caller. Do you think the teachers should all live in Detroit? If you teach in Detroit, should the teachers live here? Well, that's probably another topic. We're not going to have enough
Yeah,
time.
and the topic that I really wanted to drive home, the cat that I did not want, we didn't have a chance to let out our bag is gun violence an urban situation or is it a suburban situation? Because see, I believe if we keep saying too much that, oh, those are those white kids shooting up those schools. Those aren't our kids shooting up those schools. Yeah, that's true now, but we can't keep saying that and sitting by and waiting for something to happen in our classrooms. Our kids do need good role models to look up to. And unfortunately, I think Mr. Gardner will look good with his holster on and a couple of other black men like me. The little bad boy down the street or in the 8th grade that think he running the school might say, hey, I want to be a teacher. I want to walk around and be Mr. Rootin' and Tootin' just like Mr. Gardner. He get everybody in control. He keep these kids in line. And I want to be able to protect my family and protect my community just like him. Arming teachers may not be a bad idea if you arming the right teachers. Just like police. There's some police that are armed that should not be armed.
You want to be armed and scary, be a police officer.
No, I want to make a difference. I get to do it all. I'm going to be armed. I'm going to be an educator. I'm going to be a protector. Don't you come to my school with no mess. And it should be a million men just like me all across the district. You already took religion out of the schools, right?
That is true.
We already can't paddle the students, right?
That's true.
So what are we supposed to do? Just lay down and get rolled
We're
over?
supposed to pray for
In a minute, we're lucky now as a black community, and that's a sad thing to say, as a black community, one of the major things after this Saturday, and my heart goes out to those families that were affected by the gun violence, but at the same time, it's troubling to me as an African American that one of the things we can say is that's a suburban problem. Those are those white kids. Those not our black kids. Well, I don't want to wait until it becomes a black problem. I want to do something now. I want it to be known now. Don't you come into these DPSCD schools. If DPS police can't get there fast enough, there's a teacher there that'll gun you down faster than the cops get there.
I can see Gardner now practicing with his mirror. Freeze! Freeze! Stop it! Stop it!
Well, I guess we're running out of time, it looks like, but I agree with kids. I would like to arm our kids with knowledge. I would like to arm them with accurate class, good class sizes. I would like to arm them with better African-centered education, self-knowledge, and I think a lot of these problems and stresses that we would have would disappear. Every time there's a black person that gets shot, there's protests for 2 or 3 days, and then it's over, and then another black person gets shot. I think our community, our politicians, if we wanted that to stop with police, we need to have a more concerted effort as far as those things are concerned. Seeing somebody walking up and down the street, burning up cars, turning over things, breaking the window. No, our politicians are doing a terrible job of protecting us. And that those people should never come back to work after that happens. Never.
Well, thank you all for tuning in.
Yes.
Thank you. This was a very good controversial conversation. Needed to be had.
I'm letting Donovan lead.
I'm not saying I'm going to go ahead and say goodnight.
I hate to play devil's advocate tonight. somewhere in your classrooms and amongst your own respective people. So thank you for joining us for the Teachers Lounge. See you next week.
We're going to rerun next week. We're rerunning it next week.
Happy vacation.
Happy vacation.
Okay,
Happy
well,
Easter, Resurrection Day, all that.
You know
Very
they-
nice.
No,
Yo, funny. You know they can print guns now, right? You know you can print guns now.